we're hearing that there are 170 plus positive COVID-19 cases in Arlington, more than a dozen deaths so far in town. Are state health officials and town health officials positive that maybe we're turning the corner here, or do we have a few more days of this?
It's hard to say from our data. For so long, testing was very limited here. Then just last week, the National Guard came in to provide universal testing at Sunrise Assisted Living, and Park Ave Health Center had asked for testing kits of their own to do universal testing, and they did that. And as we announced yesterday on the 20th, there were 50 positive cases at Park Ave and 23 positive cases at Sunrise. So it's hard to know what's going to happen in the general public or the general population over the next 3 to 5 days. It does seem like all the data statewide is suggesting that we are in the peak and hopefully soon to be starting to come down and start to show a downward trend. But from just Arlington specifically, it's hard to know just where we are in terms of that peak.
A Conservation Commission session I hear was Zoom bombed, so-called Zoom bombed, not too long ago by people obviously who have nothing better to do. We are relying on this during this pandemic. What are you doing to buttress the security so that we can minimize this or not have it happen at all?
So this happened about 2 weeks ago, and in the immediate aftermath, we did two things. We purchased the webinar version of Zoom to be used for some meetings. That allows tighter control over the meeting for the moderator and the panelists, which would make Zoom bombing to some degree, I don't want to say impossible because I'd probably get proven wrong, but make it very hard to Zoom bomb it because the moderator can control who has the ability to speak or share the screen. We're not using the webinar for every meeting, the webinar version for every meeting, but for those meetings where we're not using the webinar version, we've tightened up the process you need to go through to access the meeting. So when you try to log on, you have to put in your email address and your name to log on. Whereas when these Zoom bombings were happening a couple weeks back, our understanding is the night it happened to our Conservation Commission, it happened to 10 other boards and commissions in various cities and towns in the region. And I think what these people were doing is they were just quickly grabbing meeting IDs, jumping into these meetings, causing havoc, and then jumping out. If you put up even the simple roadblock of needing to enter an email address and enter your name, even that, experts are saying even that's enough to dissuade these people so that they go find an easier target.
We're hearing a new word in our lexicon now, corona racism. Have you heard of any instances in town, and how do you battle that in the midst of everything else you're dealing with?
So nothing has been brought directly to my attention. I should talk to the police chief to see whether or not there's actual reports coming into the police department about it. But I have seen it on social media. I've seen talk about it on social media. I've seen talk about it on the Arlington list. And it is concerning. It seems to be focused on people of Asian backgrounds and concerned that it's somehow their fault that this virus made its way to America. And there's just no place for that behavior. It's absurd and ridiculous on so many levels to assert those types of accusations and to treat people differently based on these absurdities. So I will have to dig in more with the police department to see whether or not they're receiving calls or concerns, or even the Human Rights Commission, and seeing whether or not they're receiving calls or concerns. But I would say, without any hesitancy, if you're out there doing this, if you're harboring these feelings, let it go. It's not helpful. It certainly isn't going to help keep you safe. It's not going to help keep other people in the community safe. You need to let it go and start treating everybody the same.
All right, Adam, thanks again for your time. We know you're very busy, and we'll talk to you very soon. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Jeff.